Hi, and welcome to this week's Ishmael Interactive podcast. I'm Anna Monroe, the executive director here at Ishmael Interactive. And this week, we are bringing you 10 steps for building a great design team, specifically in federal agencies, but also if you work in the private sector. So, as in our reaction post to the new executive order around improving our nation through better design, agencies are now in the scramble to build design teams, and that comes as somewhat of a surprise. But as with our other posts, we're here to be of service, so we thought we would bring this to you. So when I led the service design team in GSA, I wrote down how to build great cross-functional design teams in an article on digital.gov called Bringing Design In-House. And that article is still up and available on the internet, so give it a Google if you'd like to read it. But in this podcast, I wanted to further distill down how to do this into 10 steps. These steps move from strategic to tactical in nature, and they are sequenced in the order you need to implement them. These are specifically wrapped to the 21st century idea, the Improving Our Nation Through Design, EO, and also the America's Talent Strategy that just got released. But this is also applicable to federal agencies, of course, but state and local governments, or even any large organization, nonprofit, or for-profit sectors. Building a design team often means introducing cultural changes into the practices of your business lines, and designers' backgrounds can be a little strange, a little not aligned with the rest of your organization. So I wanted to bring these learnings to you all to make sure that we're doing what we can to support people as they build these design teams. Okay, let's get into it. Number one, start with executive buy-in and a clear vision for design's role in solving complex problems. This is a big one, and it takes a lot of time. While the impulse might be to nail this one down and get buy-in before you start building your team, I would actually advise you to consider this sort of a staged number one instead of a let's get this fully done before we move number one. And that's because leadership loves evidence. And the best evidence that you can give leadership that you're making meaningful moves in the right direction is to actually start the process of building the design team while you're continuing to get buy-in. So start the momentum on getting leadership buy-in, but don't let that stop you from starting the work of building the team. It's a little bit of a chicken and egg problem, but I know you can navigate it. Number two, recruit a chief design officer for your organization that has government experience if you work in the government, formal training, and an active practice. This leadership role requires someone who combines theory and practice, philosophy and craft with specific credentials. Those credentials in the federal government mean experience leading teams in government, formal design training, and an active design practice. Without this foundation, the team lacks the credibility and knowledge to navigate federal complexities or kind of any organizational complexities, right? As outlined in Bringing Design In-House, this leader serves as the primary care provider who can consult across all the design specialties within the agency. Number three, assemble a diverse team of design specialists aligned to agency mission. Just as you wouldn't ask like a dermatologist to consult on a heart issue, agencies need specialists that include product designers, service designers, front-end engineers, back-end engineers, content strategists, researchers, data analysts, policy wonks, and even HR professionals. The America's Talent Strategy emphasized building industry-driven strategies where teams are assembled according to actual organizational needs rather than generic structures. And I'm proud to say that's exactly what we did. The service design team in GSA, we had this incredibly diverse team of talent. We were not just a bunch of engineers and designers. Okay, moving on to number four. Leverage professional networks and portfolios for targeted recruitment. This is huge. Designers, just like anybody else, gather in schools and professional organizations where agencies can find and recruit them. Portfolios reveal both technical skills and thought processes, showing theory and practice, philosophy and craft. And those things are all very important in a functional design team. The 21st century idea's requirement for data-driven analysis influencing management and development decisions aligns with evaluating candidates through their demonstrated work rather than through just their credentials or the line on the resume. And related to this is number five, accept non-traditional career paths and focus on those portfolio demonstrated capabilities. Unlike healthcare providers or lawyers or CPAs, designers may not have attended a specialized school where they got a stamp in their resume that says, yes, you can do this now. A lot of designers follow non-linear career paths, and a lot of designers have backgrounds that are sort of littered with freelance work with lots of different organizations. So the lucky news here is that the America's Talent Strategy recognizes the need to move away from this like college for all paradigm and embrace alternative pathways that demonstrate competency. That being said, Anybody who rolls up to your door and says they're a designer may or may not be one, right? So use those portfolios to really, really interrogate whether that person can deliver the results that you need for your agency or your organization. All right, number 6, integrate design leadership with agency executives for cultural alignment. Design teams bring cultural and practical differences that may not match current familiar office processes. And honestly, I could have said definitely won't match here because my experience in the Veterans Experience Office, my experience at Lab at OPM, my experience at Service Design and 18F and GSA all point to this truth. But here's the thing. The diversity is a strength, not a weakness. Executives must work closely with design leadership, which also should have executive level representation, to integrate new working patterns into agency culture if you really, really want to move forward with design. The executive order that is referenced throughout mandates that agency heads consult with the chief design officer of the federal government to ensure proper integration across the government. This is going to be tough, totally doable, definitely tough. Number 7, establish design reviews and internal critique processes for quality assurance. Okay, let's get into design review versus critique briefly. Design reviews involve an entire project team, not just a designer, and focus on milestones. So your PMs, your adjacent project managers, your engineering team, the business line, things like that. That's what a review is. Crits are design team internal only. They capture in-process work and generate direction and ideas. Implementing these processes simultaneously ensures quality while building team cohesion. This aligns with the 21st Century Ideas emphasis on continually testing services to ensure user needs are addressed. The testers here are internal teams, but if you work in a federal agency or a large organization, you have a lot of internal customers, and you should acknowledge that, and this is a way to do that. That being said, building critique was something that I required everyone on my team to do at least, I think, 3 times every fiscal quarter. It forced people to show in-process work. It kept the entire team aware of what we were doing. And on the design review side, we also reported into an organization that was called the Digital Council. The Digital Council was this amazing cross-functional group where we all came together and kind of checked up and saw what was happening, what are the requirements and things like that. And that was more akin to a design review. Let me know if you want to hear any more about those 2 items. Super happy to talk more about them. Let's get to number 8. Create unified access points and streamline processes for stakeholder engagement. So the 21st Century Idea and the EO emphasize digital modernization, focusing on replacing a fragmented customer experience of duplicative programs with a streamlined, coordinated system. Super beautiful, big idea, right? To do this, design teams must provide clear engagement pathways for leaders and for business lines, and to avoid the confusion that comes with multiple disconnected access points for internal stakeholders, and which often result in that cultural breakdown that means modernization efforts fail. This is why modernization efforts fail, because nobody goes through and builds these touch points for internal stakeholders. The design teams don't do it. The agency leaders don't do it. Nobody does it. It's, I don't know, a blocker. Maybe it's a cross-cultural thing. I'm not sure. I think that we were very, very successful in doing that on the service design team in GSA, but in other design orgs I've been in the government, this did not happen, which leads me to number 9. Build formal partnerships between design teams and agency business lines. In bringing design in-house, I emphasize that design leadership must work with other agency leaders to define the skills needed on projects that the design team will support. Without these structured relationships, without these formal conversations, design teams risk operating in isolation while business lines continue the same old patterns. The risk is called out in America's Talent Strategy, where the authors call for coordination that eliminates silos and creates a unified workforce services. Their words. This morality of this arrangement means that design teams will avoid being treated as a service bureau rather than true partners in solving organizational problems, which isolates them in the organization. Okay, finally, number 10. Measure the impact through user outcomes and service effectiveness rather than through process compliance. Okay, design teams must demonstrate value through improved user experiences and service delivery, not just completion of activities. That being said, compliance is really important, and we're never going to not believe that, right? The 21st Century Idea requires services to be designed around user needs with data-driven analysis, while America's Talent Strategy demands linking investments to outcomes and enforcing performance discipline. Great ideas. And not misaligned with compliance. Many compliance requirements were created to do exactly this, and the problem is People start to box check as opposed to actually looking at the bigger picture. To avoid this, success has to be measured by whether citizens can actually accomplish their goals more effectively, not just if KPIs and compliance boxes have been checked. My team used compliance and KPIs as a sharp tool, but we always kept the measurement of customer experience at the center. That's why we were the only team to build a digital experience index that included 6 parameters of customer experience as part of the overall index. And I'm incredibly proud of that because we were able to say, this is what customer experience is in GSA. This is how we're measuring it. And we're not going to just say, okay, does that button color perform well? Are people getting a good click-through rate? What's the NPR? Like, those are all KPIs that you should maybe use if they're applicable to you, but they're not like the world out there of measuring digital experience. All right. So in conclusion, federal agencies now confront a binary choice: evolve into design-driven organizations or remain trapped in outdated service delivery outcomes. And this is things that we have heard for years. And I'm so excited that, even though I'm not a part of it right now, we're actually still moving in that direction. Maybe I'll be a part of it in the future. The policy architecture here is in place: executive mandate, legislative requirement, talent strategy. But policies succeed only through competent execution. Building internal design capabilities demand cultural shifts that many agencies will find uncomfortable. It requires accepting non-traditional career paths, integrating unfamiliar working methods, and measuring success through user outcomes rather than bureaucratic compliance. Without forgetting the bureaucratic compliance, because compliance is important. The question is no longer whether agencies should build design teams, but whether they possess the institutional courage to build them properly and to sustain them. And the sustainment part's going to be tough, and I can't tell the future. But I know that when I was in the government, we did a great job doing exactly this, and we left an agency that is fully able to do this with or without us. I'm sorry it's without us, but that's the way it is. I hope that you found these 10 steps quite very useful. If you have any questions about them, reach out to me. You can always book me for a free 15, Anna at ishmaelinteractive.com. And I'm excited to talk to you. See you next time.